Hello everybody, welcome back to the Prog Connection. In today's video, we are just going to be giving our thoughts on the brand new IQ album that just came out, Dominion. We are going to be giving our thoughts on this record. I love that Phil already has it on physical. I wish I had it on physical myself.
Yeah, me
But
too.
we're not going to, this isn't some giant video essay. We're just going to give our thoughts, and that'll be basically it. So, without further ado, why not we introduce our new guest, James? Why don't you
Hello.
introduce yourself a little bit before we get into the actual review?
Hi, I like IQ and Renaissance a lot.
Mm-hmm.
More than probably most people. Although there are some pretty crazy heavy IQ fans, so maybe I shouldn't say that.
Like IQ more than me? Doubtful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I like Tales from the Lush Attic maybe more than a lot of people. As far as IQ
Again,
goes.
doubtful.
Nah, it's in my top three, man. But this is not a
Give me
competition.
just a
so.
second. I will be right back to show you
Uh-oh.
just how much of an IQ fan
Oh,
I really
boy.
am.
Oh my
We're
God.
bringing out the knives, and we're already getting out the competition. Holy crap!
I tried to say it's not a competition. Okay, what Tails versions
That's
do you
awesome.
have?
I bought this.
Wow.
Oh, is that the entire discography or something?
No, it's the archive collection.
Oh, I actually did hear about that. That's right.
That's what it has all in the.
Tales from a Dark Christmas.
Yes, they made a Christmas album.
It's got IQ 20 and IQ 30 on there. That's sick. Actually, that's pretty sick. Are we ready to talk about this dang
I think we're
darn
ready.
album or what?
So, James, because you're new here, why not you share your opinion
am.
first?
Okay, I'm just gonna share I kind of just took notes about every track. I guess I can just share the key points and major things that I appreciate about all the songs. So Unknown Door, first of all, it's cool that they opened an album with an epic for the first time since Tales. That's awesome. I mean, I love Last Human Gateway so much. But normally with IQ, their epics are for them to be max potency for me is rare. The absolute favorites of mine are Harvest of Souls and Last Human Gateway. But I'm going to be real. I think this is my third favorite IQ epic now. This really impressed me. It starts off with that brass, that synth brass, which is something I don't think they've done before. And then it's
No, they haven't.
Yeah, it's like a slow burn too, which normally I'm not the biggest fan of slow burn things. But it does it well, sort of like how the TV show Better Call Saul does it well. The payoffs that you get to are amazing. It's all this build up until this incredible key change section at 4 minutes. They brought the dramatic key changes back. That's what I love about the old stuff so much. Especially when Martin was in the band. And then it keeps building and building until it gets really heavy at 8 minutes. And there's just enough changes to keep you engaged. Also the chorus around the halfway point is insane. And one thing I like about the album generally is how the arc of how energetic and how stripped back in terms of how energetic it is. The flow of that was something that I was kind of missing on the last two albums, but Mike really nailed it in the songwriting department on this one here. Generally, IQ's epics don't have a lot of motivic reprisal, but this one actually, I think, does it a little more than Harvest of Souls and Last Human Gateway, and I think even some of the other epics that I've heard. So I appreciated that a lot. Just so many dramatic, epic moments. Once you get from the 8-minute mark to the end, there's just so much brilliance. It's some of my favorite parts of the album. One of us, other people have said this, the band themselves have said that it's been compared to Wintertell, and I agree, but I actually prefer this to Wintertell, which is saying something
I
as
do
someone
too.
yeah, which is saying something as someone who like loves the material that was recorded around the or written around the time of the Tales album. It's it's not much to say about it. It's just really good. It's really basic. You know, your stripped down singer songwriter, some atmospheric synths and acoustic guitar and vocals and pretty melodies. That's really all you need. And then the next two I actually heard live when I flew to Europe to see the band. I flew to the Netherlands and got to see their Christmas Bash show, and they kind of presented before album release both No Dominion and Far From Here. No Dominion and Far From Here had to grow on me, honestly, because I think there was a lot of things that I wanted to see in that set, and every time they played something, admittedly, that wasn't off Dark Matter or wasn't off Tales from the Lush Attic, which they unfortunately played none of, I was just a little bit like, come on, man, please play one of those. You know what I mean? But they did play some other awesome stuff, which I appreciated. But since you're not familiar with the songs, you know, it's hard to be like, oh, I'm rocking out to this part that I'm already familiar with, because you're not familiar with it yet. But now that I have familiarized myself with it, that intro theme is one of the best parts of the album. I don't know if y'all agree, but like the intro dramatic theme to the title track, No Dominion, is so insane every single time it happens, especially when there's all that kind of chill, admittedly obviously not as strong for me personally as that theme, but having so much of the verses kind of stripped back and more calm to build up to it when he goes, and not without remorse, and it hits again. It's so powerful. I get chills. I feel like I'm flying when that part hits. And the vocals over the part when it continues, and that outro guitar solo, oh my God. Definitely, I mean, this is a strong album overall, but those parts are among the best parts on the album for me. And I mean, yeah, again, the album's strong overall, but like when you get to Far From Here, it's like if you have like a ranking of the tracks, obviously one of them has to be your least favorite, and the album is so good that honestly Far From Here is probably my least favorite track, but that's not to say it's not strong. It just takes a while to kind of get going, but once it gets going, you hear Cookie come in with that fucking energetic drumming, and the vocals on the chorus to this song are so good, and the super heavy riffs in the middle, big highlight. And there's this part where it just keeps ascending and adding tension, and like I said, the arcs of how the energy is structured and kind of stripped back in this album is so brilliant. There's a perfectly placed triumphant section and another perfectly placed in the structure solo in this. And that's another thing I gotta mention. This album is like so well song structured compared to most IQ, even the IQ albums that I prefer to this. Which, spoiler alert, this album impressed me a lot more than I thought it was going to, because I like IQ generally, but I'm much more of a fan of like the Orford era. So the fact that this is probably, honestly guys, this is probably tied for my fourth favorite IQ album. It's somewhere around Ever, because above Ever is like Dark Matter, The Wake, and Tales for me. Those three are like the holy grail. But the fact that they dropped this on us and it's so good, Mike being able to write of this level of quality this late in his career is just so incredible. And the outro had to grow on me as well in Far From Here, but there's so many points on this album where I realized, especially in the back half, the front half I liked immediately. I was like, oh, my first listen, I thought it was really good, but the album had to grow on me a lot. I was like, oh, this is kind of a front-loaded album. The first two tracks are my favorites. But once I sat with it more and the latter three grew on me more, I realized what helps a lot is paying attention to the lyrics. Peter really nailed it on writing emotive lyrics that you can connect with on this album. He tends to do that a lot, I find, but he really nailed it on some of these phrases on this album, particularly in the last 3 tracks, and it elevates the experience, I find, a lot, especially because No Dominion, as he said, is about, if I'm recalling correctly anyway, it's about how he how you rather, as us as people, we make our own dominion, our own lives, our own goals, aspirations, friend groups, and we kind of make our kingdom for ourselves, our dominion in life, and that's a very powerful thing. And then, if I recall correctly, the outro of Far From Here lyrically was inspired by the passing of one of his parents. And that's obviously really powerful. Neverland, which I'll get into now, Neverland, the last track, is about reflecting on your life experience, living a large portion of your life with someone who means a lot to you and reflecting on the positive times that you had with them before they died. Now, when I first listened to this album, this was actually my least favorite track, because I was just like, okay, this is kind of a emotionally driven, like, kind of, I don't want to say simple, but like more straightforward kind of closing track. It kind of reminds me of Came Down, kind of reminds me of Closer. But then I paid attention to and realized what the lyrics were about, and I get teary eyed and goosebumpsy every time I listen to it now. Every single song on this album has something to offer. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I would say it's an amazing record. Really well produced as well. Mike Holmes really knows how to write, or not write. Well, yes, he does know how to write. That's what I've been talking about.
Yeah.
Really well, but also to sound engineer really well. Everything cuts through really well. It sounds crisp. And the performances are great. Like I said, Cookie always brings a heck of a lot of energy to anything this band does. They've always had great bass players, be it Tim Esau or John Jowett. Yeah, just, and the keys and guitar are great. They serve the functions they need to in terms of the what the section needs.
Yeah.
And of course, Peter has said that so far this is his favorite vocal performance he's ever done for the band, if I remember correctly from interviews. And I agree, it's a really strong performance. So I would say this album surprised me a lot by how much it grew on me. And it's incredible for me to say this. I think I'm going to have to give this a 9 and say that this is tied for my 4th favorite IQ album. It's either 4th or 5th favorite.
All right. Dad, would you like to go next?
Sure. I would say that to begin with is that, as you and I, Zoltan, have listened through this, is that I think we both agree a little bit that it's a little bit early, with like 3 to 4 listens, to state what our opinion will be in the context of the other IQ albums as time rolls on. It may really, really grow on me. My initial feeling of the album, which again, as I say, it might not be my feeling 2 years from now, but my initial feeling was kind of that it was very typical sounding and nothing that special. Like, it was just like another IQ album. Again, I may change my mind on that as time goes on, because I liked a lot of it. Like, I didn't dislike the album. I liked it, but I wasn't blown away by it. It was okay. In terms of individual tracks, that first track, The Unknown Door, that brass sound at the beginning, boy oh boy, is that fanfare for the common man. That's like ELP sounding. It's got that Yamaha GX7 brass sound, which is kind of a little bit chintzy in terms of modern synth sounds. I mean, it's okay, but it's more nostalgic than it is like a great sound. It's okay, but it's like, were they listening to ELP? Was the keyboard player listening to ELP before he did this thing? It's like, and the rest of the epic it still needs to grow on me, but I found it to be kind of like it was okay, but I didn't think it was spectacular. I thought it was okay. That's all. Again, in terms of comparing to the rest of the IQ catalog, I didn't think that this is going to make Dark Matter or Roll the Bone.
Roll the bones.
Roll the Bone. So these are but the other track that I would bring out, which is what James was talking about, was One of Us, and to my ears, this sounds again like Father Christmas by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Like, put it up against it, listen to the two tracks back to back, and tell me those are not the exact same chord sequence. It's the exact same thing.
You know what's
So
funny?
I don't know.
Interviewed, and someone else brought up that exact song comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the guy
I
that
was like, as soon as Zoltan put it on, I was like, that's ELP. That's just Father Christmas. But
He
I'm
said
not
it was
trying to.
influenced by a different song though, and that it actually wasn't influenced by Father Christmas, if I remember correctly, from what Mike said in that interview.
Again, Zoli, Zoltan, I'm only making a note that that's my impression of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm not trying to say that they sat down and said, okay, we're going to just steal from Emerson, Lake and Palmer and we're going to put it on our album. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just
Right.
saying whether they came upon it, however they came upon it, it's so close that it's eerie, really. And it doesn't sound like it's a Christmas song, but still it has the very same feeling. But again, overall, Zoltan, I thought this album was good, but at this point, not a classic. But again, that could change because these songs, like a lot of the other albums, they tend to grow on you over time, and then you change your opinion, and then you say, "Wow." You after a while, you put it on the shelf for a while, and you say, "I don't want to listen to that anymore." And then you come back to it 2 years later, and you go, "Wow, I really didn't pay enough attention to this." I don't know that there's any album by any prog band that I've loved from the very beginning. They've all grown on me over time, so I reserve final judgment for this album till we do a video in 2030, Zoli.
All right.
But I'll give it a 7 for now.
That's actually what I thought when I first heard it. It felt like about a 7 for me, but it grew on me very quickly to a 9, like almost immediately. And I feel like maybe for me too, this is just my opinion as it is now. Maybe it'll grow more. Maybe I'll realize it's not hitting quite the same. So I think our thoughts are just sort of as they are now while it's fresh, and of course subject to change.
Pretty
I
much.
definitely agree with you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think
I don't think it's taking out Close to the Edge on
oh
number one on
I don't
Prog
think
Archive.
so either. I mean, Close to the Edge is very near Tales to the Lush from the Lush Attic tier for me. Those two are both in my top 10 of all time. So,
Fair enough.
but yeah, I feel you on the intro to Unknown Door. I think Mike really likes those nostalgic keyboard sounds because
Yeah.
like he grew up with Genesis and what Tony Banks was using, the Mellotron, those kind of rock organ sounds. So it wouldn't surprise me if the reason you said he might have used that sound is for a similar reason. Whereas, like, I think when Orford was in the band, he was like, God, I hate working with these Mellotrons. They malfunction and don't do what you want to all the time, and they suck. I want new technology. So, if I remember correctly, anyway.
Phil, you go ahead.
If you ask me right now if I truly feel comfortable giving a review of this album, my answer is honestly no.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I feel like the couple of listens that I have given it in full aren't enough. I have given each of these songs individual listens by themselves quite a few times. But as a collective body of work, I feel like I have not had enough time to truly sit down with it. But again, I felt the same about Resistance for about 2-3 years. So and some of my feelings on Resistance carry over onto this in terms of it's definitely not as immediate an album as previous IQ offerings. There's not as much in there's not much in the way of hooks on this album compared to Tales up to The Road of Bones. And there was a lot of hooks on The Road of Bones, despite how dark that was.
Very hooky album, yeah.
Yeah, there's very little of that. In fact, I don't want to say unmemorable, but like at this point, I guess that's how I feel about a lot of the vocal melodies on this album, particularly on the back half. Past No Dominion, and even now No Dominion, I know the song. I know most of the melodies on there because I've heard it so many times, not because it like sticks with me. But let's get into the track listing. Unknown Door, I think, is terrific. The beginning part of the beginning part of the song kind of honestly reminds me of a little bit like 90s Disney. And that's not a bad thing. Like there's some moments on there where like before like the first time where the band really comes in, just that like very synthy part where Mike Holmes is playing the nylon guitar and stuff, and there's some like tribal sounding drums on there. That part's what I'm talking about. Kind of reminds me of the Lion King, in a sense. I see you. Most of like the first 10 minutes of The Unknown Door is absolutely fantastic. It does lose a little bit of steam toward, I guess, like the 12-minute mark. Not entirely. And it doesn't really pick back up until the end where it kind of reprises the first part. There's just a few minutes here. There's just a few minute pocket where it's like it's not as interesting as the rest of the song. But overall, I think the song is really good. One of Us, honestly, that one gives me like a Kansas vibe, Dust in the Wind type of thing. I mean, maybe that's just me not being as into ELP as you guys. I love ELP, but I haven't heard their entire discography, particularly post brain salad surgery.
Me either, to be fair.
But yeah, I honestly got a Dust in the Wind vibe from that song, minus the violin solo on Dust in the Wind. Going on to No Dominion. As of now, that is my least favorite song on the album. It's not that it's a bad song by any stretch of the imagination. It's a very good song. But, you know, again, going back to Resistance, there's not much in the way of hooks. There's not much that really grabs me about this song, particularly vocally. The last two, Far From Here and Neverland, are excellent, minus a couple issues I have with the mix. One thing that IQ does that, on one hand, I really love how forward the keyboards are in so much of their music. But I wish something they would do is turn the guitar up just a little. Even in like some of the it would really bring a lot more to especially the guitar solos if they were a little bit louder. And that kind of comes really into play on the last two songs on the album, Far From Here and Neverland. But I do have to say, and really this is true for the whole album. There are some very, very interesting keyboard choices that I don't think they've ever really done before. Some of it is almost like EDM sounding. Not necessarily EDM, not necessarily like danceable EDM, but like just like the sounds that they went and like how the keyboards were sequenced, the arpeggios. That's something that I would have expected to see on an EDM album.
Yeah, you
Not
talking about that one part where it like there's a pre-programmed synth groove in one of the songs. I forget which song it is. I think I know
there's a
which one
couple
you're
of
talking about.
those on like I know there's one on The Unknown Door, and then there's like one
on
or
Far
two
From Here.
different ones on Far From Here.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're thinking about the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, this is something that's probably like I need more time to have this grow on me. Maybe probably another year or two before my opinions like really fucking solidify. And like and I'm hoping that it solidifies in a holy shit, every fucking song on this thing is immaculate. This is one of the best things they've ever released ever. And yeah, this could dethrone fucking The Road of Bones. I don't think it will, but we'll see.
I don't think anything can dethrone Tails for me personally, but we'll see.
Ah.
Most bands, not just IQ, most bands ever can't dethrone Tails. Anyway, Zoltan, what do you got to say?
All right, here we go. The host's opinions, eh? All right, here we go. So I did this in a song-by-song format, like I normally do. I'm going to score each song appropriately, and I will give you the score of each song before, and then give you the rating after. So, let's talk about The Unknown
Like classic
Door.
albums reviews.
I agree with Dad. The opening is soft, reminiscent of Fanfare for the Common Man by ELP. The World War II radio is in the back. I like that cool little effect. It's really nice. With the war like horn section. This will take fans back.
Yeah, that does sound like a war. What is it? A clarion call?
Yes, exactly. I feel like that's what they were trying to accomplish with that.
Isn't there like a spoken word quote thing that has
Yeah,
to do with
I think it's
war
all on
that
like
helps them?
ham radio.
I think that's the AM World War II radio he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is really cool. It'll give fans, it'll take them back to that Harvest of Souls, the Seventh House, War Tale vibes, like they've done on a few other IQ epics. Ultimately, the opening section is, it also ends with a little bit of like world music vibes too, which is really nice. The nylon guitars over
Which
really
is where
nice
the Lion
pads.
King comparison came
Yeah,
into play.
it's world music almost. It's got a world music vibe. It's nice. Which again, I don't actually think I can claim IQ has ever really put in their music.
No, this is a first for them.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on this album that's a first for them, I feel. The following section takes normal IQ songwriting while adding something totally new from them. Still the same soaring Hammonds and Mellotrons, guitar riffing, tambourine, which I actually like that you can hear in the mix on this album. I know that Peter Nichols has a tambourine on stage, and I'm just like, do you do that on the album? Is that what you do? Because no one can hear it.
He read your mind, man.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I'm just like, I like that. I like that you can hear the tambourine in that section. Tied together by an industrial sequencer-led chorus, which is really cool. I love that part. Weird, a bit of a mess, but I think it's kind of like it's not mess in like a messy way. It's more like a mess in a chaotic way, which I think adds to the tension in the building in that song. It's really good. It doesn't hinder the listening experience in the slightest. The next part is a lot heavier. One of the heaviest parts on any album that they've ever done. It's probably the second heaviest part on the album. That battle section is really heavy. It's even heavy compared to stuff off of Resistance and The Road of Bones. This is
this is like the most
heavy.
prog metal they've ever been.
Oh, it's heavy. It's heavy, which is weird because this is such
I'm all about that. I'm all about that.
It has a really nice chorus-esque piece in the middle there. I really love it. It ties the entire heavy section together. Good Hammonds, great Mellotrons, chunky guitars. Holy crap, really good production. Then, of course, you get, once the vocals cut off there, you get to an instrumental section that has some really silky bass lines. Holy crap, the bass is so nice in the mix. Really love that. Really feels like 80s neo-prog. Like, just trying to rewrite Genesis again. Just trying to be like, we're gonna do Genesis. Choirs, guitars, soaring Hammonds, and all these keyboards. It's so just trying to be like the 80s version of what 70s prog is. You know what I'm saying? It's really good. It has some Pendragon-ish kind of elements to me. I feel like this section can be summed up into an 80s neo-prog bit in 2000s IQ Flare. You know? Then the next part comes, which is a section that reminds me insanely a lot of Dogs by Pink Floyd. I think the chords are the exact same too. I think it's literally the exact same chords. If that section wasn't Dogs, then I'm gonna call him out on his BS.
Okay.
It's still such a really good part because it fits. It's putting in elements of, that's what prog is, especially modern prog. It's showing off inspirations that you have a little bit, right? And I feel like Pink Floyd has always kind of been a little bit of an influence for IQ. Here and there, they've shown those elements. The prog folk elements are here, really strong. Plus, the chords are very Floydian, too. Strong section, love the vocals here. Holy crap, the chords, instruments used, mwah, chef's kiss. Now we get on to a slightly more typically IQ part. This is by far this part on the song that sounds the most like just bare bones IQ, right? The progressions, the structure, the way that they play, it's all very IQ. It just fits well into a prog epic. Plus, the lyrics are really good. You get a keyboard solo. This is a section that you find on The Road of Bones or Harvest of Souls. It's just very typical of them, and it works. The ending section is very typical. It's a reprisal of the opening section in a slower and more emotional, with all the instrumentalists involved. Very typical IQ of how they end an epic, isn't it? That's a very stereotypical way that they end an epic.
Going all the way back to the last human gateway.
That's why I compared it to that in Even Harvest, dude. It works. So why change the formula?
Exactly. It's exactly what Supper's Ready does, and that's considered the greatest epic in history. So what are we gonna do?
I gotta say, in case they watch the video, I think Last Human Gateway is better than Supper's Ready.
Fair enough. I scored this song out of 25 because it's a 22-minute epic. So I scored it out of 25. I gave it a full 25 because I think it's a strong epic. It's probably tied for my favorite epic they've ever done. It's a three-way tie between Harvest of Souls, Without Walls, and this one. This is just insane. This is a fantastic epic, one of the best they've ever done.
I'm glad Harvest is in the trilogy for you.
Harvest is nearly perfect. It's probably my favorite. If I had to go ahead, it's just like emotionally, it's the one that's been with me the longest. So I gotta go with that one.
I agree. It's a very emotionally strong, especially the opening, I think.
True.
Anyway.
Speaking of, overall, I do think that this epic is actually a very good alternative to Harvest of Souls. I think that this song gives you what Harvest of Souls does. It's a well-structured, has strong moments, really well put together, structured, lots of moving pieces just like Harvest of Souls, but it's different. It gives you a different feel. If you want something that's just as well structured and just as good, go ahead and listen to The Unknown Door. It's just as good. I think that they deliver similar experiences while being totally different tracks. That's my thoughts on it. Wonderful. The best epic since Without Walls, and for sure, Harvest of Souls. Now,
Yeah, it's my favorite since Harvest for sure.
Now, One of Us. 3 minutes long, so I rated it out of 5. Gorgeous acoustic track, beautiful. The vocals are soft, pleasant, well mixed. The keys add a nice amount of atmosphere to this really soft track. It's a song like Wintertell off of The Lost Attic. This song can even be compared musically to I Believe in Father Christmas by IELP, which I agree with that. Or it was written by Lake, so I mean, let's be honest, it's a Lake song. Very beautiful. Glad a song like this actually made it onto an IQ studio album, because I don't think they actually have a track like this exactly on an IQ album existing as a final product.
I fully agree. Yeah.
And it's really nice that we have a fully acoustic track that's very lush and beautiful like this one. Now, I rated it 5. 5 out of 5.
Lush.
Great, yes.
Lush.
I did that on purpose. Yeah. It could make a grown man cry. That one's great. Now, the third track of No Dominion is I'm rating it out of 10 because it's 6 minutes long. This is the single from the album. Of all the tracks, this is the one that retreads the most old IQ ground. Is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. This song, unlike the other singles, is a keyboard dominant track. I love how ominous and thick the keyboards are. The musical box-like sound effect in the background is noted. Seems to be a recurring theme throughout the entire album, actually. But it retreads. It's, again, this is a very typical IQ song, structurally speaking. But it retreads old ground in a new way, I guess you could say. It shows the band's Genesis influence while retaining its darker side. The end of the track is really interesting. Weird telephone-like effect, followed by a wind-up music box sound effect. Cool way to transition into the next song. Simple, strong, not groundbreaking, just classic.
That's one of my least favorite parts of the album. I'm just going to say real quick. They cut the solo off, which is like this god tier solo, and they fade it into like sound effect noise.
Yeah, I don't know how much I
love
it.
this album, but I can't abide that choice.
Yeah, I agree. There was no reason to do that.
No, there wasn't really, but I'm gonna pass it off because I don't really know. You're right. It sucks that it was cut off in that regard, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just had no way of ending it, which is sad, but they'll figure out a way to end it on stage.
This album they did end it on stage because I saw it live. I can't remember what they did though. But this album is amazing, but it's not completely flawless. There's parts that are weaker. They're also just incredibly strong parts. You know what I mean?
Now we get to Far From Here. Okay? Because this song is nearly 13 minutes long, I'm going to rate it out of 15. The opening is very dark, atmospheric. Love the opening a lot. Typical of a 2000s IQ mini epic. A haunting musical box opening, super cool, creepy. Love it. Very creepy. Probably the creepiest intro to an IQ track I've listened to, honestly.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's haunting. I've never heard an IQ song with such a haunting effect on at the opening. It's almost oppressive. It's awesome. I love the opening. The next section shows off a lot more of Paul Cook's drumming skill. A bit heavier, a bit more chaotic, keyboard dense, nice vocals from Peter. Really good. Really, really cool. But this is where it's a little bit more of a mess. Now, it definitely starts picking up on the heaviness department, more straightforward, just straight chugging. There's a part where it's just straight chugging, and it's just Peter singing over top of them while it's just ridiculous. Probably that's the heaviest part of the song.
Okay, because you were going to get back to that. Yeah, the heaviest part for me is where it does the like the slow kind of tremolo.
The real heavy riffing power chords.
Yeah.
The one in No Dominion feels like it's more like down tuned and just trying to play like bar chords, whereas this one's trying to like really heavily riff and trying to crank your guitar into the ground. Like that is one of the heaviest part. I think that's the heaviest part on any IQ album in their entire discography.
I might be inclined to agree, honestly.
First of all, Paul Cook is drumming super fast actually for what they're doing.
He's either doing doubles on one foot or he has like a double kick. Like
I think
either way is like super impressive.
It is impressive. It's fantastic. It's the fastest IQ part, and it's so just chugging. It's really, really cool. It's the heaviest part by far. The part after that is another sequencer transition into the next bit. Bit like kind of like a Nine Inch Nails or even Rammstein. Kind of returns back to the second section's theme. Nice reprise. Ties the mini epic together in a nice circular-esque structure. Beautiful chorus-like piece here too. Love the mellotrons. Sticks around in your head. Very nice. And then it ends very gently. It's a very soft and gentle end to this chaotic middle mini epic. Pleasant.
There's a lot of very gentle ends of this whole album.
Yeah, really gentle actually. And plenty of plenty of guitars, nice keyboards, pleasant, really nice way to fit. It fits on this album really well. Plus the end itself is just really pretty. This mini epic overall does everything a solid IQ mini epic ought to do. It's got good dynamics, it's got heavy moments, it's got really subtle, gentler moments. It shines nice. It's more chaotic. It is more chaotic than normal, but I think it works really well, and it's a grower. That one's a grower. Strong.
I fully agree with all that. Yeah, I fully agree.
It's great. I'm going to rate Far From Here out of 15. I'll give it 14. And by the way, No Dominion, I give a 9 out of 10. Now we get to Never...
Bro, you're giving all of these almost the highest score you can. You're about to give this album a super high rating, I can already tell. Because you said I'm not going to spoil how you thought about Neverland, like specifics, because you're about to lay it out, but you also said that one's like really high up for you.
Speaking of Neverland, I'm going to rate out of 10 as well because it's 8 minutes long. It's really long, weirdly. It doesn't feel that long. The opening of this track is so beautiful. I love the sounds that Neil Durant picked on this track specifically. Such gorgeous, almost like glass, beautiful, just gorgeous sound effects and beautiful keyboards here. Just angelic mood. Production. Again, this song has some of the most silky bass lines on the entire album. Such gorgeous bass lines. The piano in the back. Listen, Phil, one of the things that you've talked about on previous IQ albums with Neil is that you want him to change the piano sound. I don't think they did. It sounds the exact same to me. But I think it works for what they're trying to accomplish. This song reminds me of a reworked, expanded, and slightly restyled Oceans. It's very pretty. One of the best album closers in their entire discography. I will also give that song a 10 out of 10. My overall rating out of 65 is a 63. The final rating, my percentage, is a 97%. And my favorite track...
I really liked this album, based.
My favorite track was obviously The Unknown Door. My final grade is an A+. IQ has shown growth after being here for over 40 years. Their 13th studio album is a concise 50-minute record, 5 tracks. Unlike Dark Matter, opens with the epic. This is the mirror Dark Matter, light matter, if you will. Production hasn't been an issue for these guys since 2004, let's be honest. So you can guarantee this album sounds really good. Like, just sonically, it sounds good. This album has structure. It feels familiar, yet treads completely new
Well-structured.
ground. This album's very strong. It treads new ground. It retreads old ground in a new way. While teasers and band trajectory, including fans, were talking about how a new IQ record is going to be heavier than they've ever had from this band ever before. I think that this is probably the softest album of the 2000s so far. I feel like this is by far the least heavy IQ album of the 2000s so far. I think that just for the guitar tones in general are a lot heavier and more consistent on the Seventh House and even Dark Matter, whereas I think Resistance and the Road of Bones are just really, really heavy, especially Resistance. But this album has moments that are heavier than all of those albums, but just not
true.
nearly as many heavy parts. This album just does not have nearly as many heavy songs.
But that goes back to the structure. That goes back to the ebb and flow of the dynamics,
Exactly.
but not just that, the energy level. That's one of the major things that I think they got right
The
here.
songs that
And
had the
that's-
heaviest points were the epics. The Giant Epic had 2 heavy parts, and then Far From Here had 1. Whereas the Road of Bones, every song on that album except for Oceans was heavy, and every song on
Yeah.
Resistance except for maybe 2 out of
Wait,
a
the Road of
giant
Bones,
double album
like-
was heavy.
The Road of Bones is like really chill until the outro makes it heavy.
The intro, yeah, but
The intro lasts like forever, though.
it does.
I don't even think it's necessarily chill. It's just dark and ominous.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. I would definitely go ahead and say roughly, yeah, like I said, roughly 2 parts throughout the entire album I would actually classify as heavy, which is completely different from what I can say from the other albums where Dark Matter, Resistance, The Road of Bones. I would just say that generally speaking, this album is not nearly as consistently heavy as The Road of Bones or Resistance. It's just not even half.
Absolutely not.
It's
We
just
agree
not.
there.
There's 2 parts on this
Anyway.
entire album where I can be like, it's heavy. Other than that, not really. It's very soft. This album actually feels a lot more like 80s and early 90s IQ to me. Songs reminding me
A
more
little
of
bit.
Are You Sitting Comfortably and Ever and Subterranea. And much like the Steven Wilson album that released shortly before this record, because of how short this album is, it doesn't waste your time. It has an identity, has character aside from the previous 12 records, and gives the listener something new while still reminding of the IQ of old. This band is confident in who they are, even after 40 years after their debut. They released an IQ classic with that confidence. Another album that comes close to being a 10 out of 10. Fantastic. 2025 has been a great year for Prog so far. And that's where I wrap it up. Anything else anyone want to say before we wrap this video up entirely?
Shout out Mike. He has written good songs over the years.
Yeah, this is a great album. Like I said,
Shout out Peter. He's written very heartfelt lyrics that fuck me up over the years.
yeah.
Shout out to every single member of the band. I met you all on Cruise to the Edge. I hope to see you guys back on the next one. I got to talk to almost each one of you individually.
That was great.
Yeah,
You
I
all
don't
are
know-
awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if they're watching, but if y'all are watching, I was the guy with the COVID mask. Remember me?
Now, thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share, and subscribe. If you want to see another review on another album of your choice, let us know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys very much for watching. And we will see
reserve
you.
right to refuse it.
And we
Unless-
reserve right to refuse it.
Oh, we might do it.
We may, but remember, we're the authority here. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. We will see you in the next video. Peace.